Alright, it's been a while since I did a video log after getting started about a month or a month and a half ago. I apologize for the delay, but with the new baby and recently moving into a new house, things have been a little hectic, so hopefully now that things are settled in a little bit, we'll get back onto a regular schedule and try to have content for you guys on these video logs a little more regularly, hopefully at least a couple each month. Today I wanted to talk about, I guess, like work ethic, dedication, consistency, all of which is sort of the cornerstone for success, not just in strength training and nutrition, but I think in life in general. And I've had a couple of conversations with various people in and out of the gym over the last few weeks, and a couple things that I guess struck me that I think are worth talking about. And a quote that, you know, might be a little crude or so, but I think has application to what I'm going to talk about here and what I'm going to... The philosophy applies to everything. So Ronnie Coleman, if you don't know who Ronnie Coleman is, 8-time Mr. Olympia, probably hands down one of the best bodybuilders that's ever walked the face of the earth. He was famous for saying, everybody wants to be a bodybuilder, but ain't nobody want to lift no heavy-ass weight. And it might not be true that everybody wants to be a bodybuilder. I'm not naive enough to think that everybody wants to be overly muscular and have as much muscle and as little body fat as possible. But I think at the core of what that quote is saying, you know, everybody wants certain things in fitness, but they're really just not willing to put in the work ethic. I see this a lot with young athletes, especially, you know, the ones that don't end up training at our facility, but even sometimes, you know, I'll get kids that, you know, they all want to get a Division I college scholarship, right? That's, you know, especially the younger they are, the more optimistic or naive, whatever you want to call it, they might be. But people look at things and, you know, everybody thinks, and I remember as a young kid in elementary school thinking the same thing, you know, I'm going to, you know, go play at that Big Ten school, or I'm going to be a professional basketball player, or whatever. But they don't want to put in the work. I've had kids come in, you know, 20 minutes into training, they're nauseous, and when I talked to them a little bit about what their prep was for coming to training for a 10 or 11 o'clock training session, they basically rolled out of bed, got dropped off at the gym, and started their workout. No breakfast. They're still tired. Their hair is a mess from just rolling out of bed. So in their head, they might think that, yes, they want to be a professional athlete or get that scholarship, but they don't really want to put in the work needed to get there. So back to that quote from Ronnie Coleman, you know, everybody wants these great things, has these great ambitions, but they're not willing to do what it takes. That might be sleeping, you know, 8 to 10 hours a night. That might be prepping your food, you know, for the next day or for the next week. That might be getting to the gym early so you can adequately warm up and not injure yourself during the workout and put everything into your workout. Or just pushing yourself intensely during your workout. If your workout calls for 25-yard sprints, then the sprint should be absolutely as fast as you can run, as if you're being chased by a rabid dog for the entire 25 yards. You shouldn't have to be reminded to run fast, to throw a ball hard. Everything should be as hard and fast as you can, unless you're instructed otherwise for some other, you know, training adaptation that we're going for. So, you know, and I think that carries over not just to young kids, but I often, when I'm talking with adults about nutrition and what they're trying to accomplish with nutrition, you know, some of the biggest things that we see are, you know, lack of protein intake, lack of vegetable intake, lack of water intake. We're not even talking about taking anything out of the diet yet. Those things might come later if you're trying to lose weight, but just to maximize performance, recovery, energy, hormone function, which will all help you lose weight if you're trying to lose weight. Get enough protein, get enough vegetables, get enough water. You don't have to remove anything. You just have to eat more of a few things, and people will make comments of, well, I don't like how water tastes. You know, how do I get more protein? It's just eat. You know, drinking water. I mean, if it doesn't taste like anything, just drink it. It's not rocket science. It's not complicated. It's not poison. It's not going to hurt you to drink a little bit more water. or I don't like vegetables. Like, again, find a way to flavor them, to cook them, to bake them, to broil them, that make them somewhat enjoyable. You know, blend them up in a shake. It doesn't matter. Just get it in. And I think this sort of, it's almost like a sense of entitlement. I had a conversation with a gentleman who's no longer at our gym. He was on trial there, but he made a comment about how he didn't give two F's about his job. Well, he said the full word. The language is a little more crude. And then within that same conversation, he was complaining about how he didn't get a raise from his employer that year. And I was just dumbfounded. You know, to have somebody tell me in in 1 minute how they hate and don't care about their job and take no pride in their job, and then 2 minutes later complain about not getting a raise. Why on earth would you expect to get a raise or get rewarded for something that you don't care about and that you're not willing to go above and beyond for? And I think that mentality just sort of, it plagues our country with the economy and with people's, whether it's you're running your own business or with what you do with your training and your nutrition. And I think that's just, it's unfortunate, and I think we need more role models and more people to look up to. And there's plenty of people out there, and I don't know if, they just don't get the attention because they're not on Instagram and YouTube and social media. But I know growing up as a wrestler, I looked up to Dan Gable, and, unfortunately not enough people know Dan Gable and know, his credentials and what he did. But, the story that I like with Dan Gable, and, it sort of epitomizes work ethic and dedication, and I think has carried through his entire life, and why he was such a successful wrestler and coach, and is still successful to this day with every endeavor he takes. If you don't know, so Dan Gable is, in my opinion, the best wrestler of all time, and he was undefeated all throughout high school, all throughout college. So he won 4 state championships in high school, went on to college and wrestled, won 3 national championships. His senior year, he lost his very last match at the national championships his senior year and took 2nd place at nationals after going 8 years undefeated and never losing a match in his career. The very next day, he got up, started running, started training for the Olympics. Not very many other people would have that type of dedication. They would cry, feel sorry for themselves, maybe blame the refs for making a bad call. But that wasn't his mentality. He got up and he kept pushing and looking on to the next goal, to the next objective. Too many of us, we have a setback. We're dieting and we blow it at a relative's, get together. Rather than get back on track the next day, we want to whine, complain, wallow in self-pity that, our diet was blown. We gained 3 pounds because we ate so much. We lost all that progress. Ultimately, all of us are in control of our future, whether that's with work or our training or our nutrition, and all those things go hand in hand. It's just an effort, a matter of being dedicated, setting our priorities, having a schedule set up, and having a plan, not just, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. That's a great goal, but it needs to be, you need to have a SMART goal. It needs to be specific. So you've got this specificity with the 20-pound weight loss goal, but you also need to have a timeline attached to it. It needs to be it needs to be measurable, which, again, you can measure weight loss. That's easy enough to do. It needs to be, attainable, and a realistic goal, too. And you need to have a timeline. So once you have that goal set up, though, you have to have a plan. You can't just say, I want to do something. You have to set out and figure out how you're going to accomplish that and what you're going to do to get there. And then execute those. You can't just want to lose weight or just want to put on 20 pounds on your bench press. You have to have a plan, and you have to execute that plan. And you have to execute it every day, every week, every month, every year, every decade. It can't be short-term thought process if you want long-term success. I can't tell you how many people I talk to in the gym who, used to be a huge bodybuilder, or used to bench 400 pounds, or used to squat 600 pounds, or everybody used to be something great. And unfortunately, everybody wants to live in the past and almost make excuses for why they're not, doing what they used to be able to do. I think a much more safe and logical and maintainable approach is to be consistent, to pick things, whether it's a training program with your nutrition that you can execute every single day for the rest of your life and continue to progress with. I always tell clients, if you, whether it's with something you're doing with training or something you're doing with nutrition, if you can't see yourself doing this for the rest of your life, for 5 years from now, 10 years from now, then don't do it, because you're setting yourself up for a failure and to rebound in a negative direction. Unless there's some real specific, if you're peaking for a contest, whether it's, like a race, a marathon, triathlon, a powerlifting meet, bodybuilding show, a one event thing that you really have to optimize performance for, you might have some overreaching periods in training, or you might have some drastic, a little bit of weight manipulation to make a weight class. But outside of those few things, we really want to strive for things that we can maintain for the rest of our life. I think that's, it's about 11 minutes there, and I don't want to bore you guys anymore. If you have questions, you have feedback, anything in particular that you would like to me to touch on more, give me some things to talk about. I would love to, shoot me an email, jeff@fentonfitness.com, or comment on the YouTube page, and I'll try to cover that in next week's post. Thanks. Have a great weekend.